Okay guys, this is the video that I've been saying I was going to make about how I did my mid-motor swap on my 22S. As you can see here, all of this is stock, not moved. I took my Dremel with a sanding drum and put about a 45-degree bevel right there, and what that does is that allows motor adjustment. I found that out after I hooked it up the first time. The holes that you'll need to drill will be these two holes right here. And what you do is you take this transmission mount that goes like that stock and pop it in here into its hole there, and it pops in. That allows you a lineup to do your drills for your holes. Then at that point, on the transmission mount area, everything on here is stock. The shock tower mount is mounted all stock and everything. What I did was I took my Dremel and I took off a little, about half the thickness of it right here. And what that allowed it to do was to make up for right here. So then you can put it on there and it pops right in, just like that. And then at that point, I'm able to turn it over, upside down. Now you might have to source up some longer screws to do this, but I have these screws here that go in those holes, go right up in there, and these are bevel head screws that I just happen to have. And they go quite a ways up into the mount, so it's a nice fit. Electric screwdriver, highly advisable. And then I took a bigger drill bit and just made the bevel hole into it so that the screws would fit in there more level. Bring them on down. Like that. And then for here, you can see that the holes in the mount are a little bit wider than the holes in the frame. So what I did, or in the chassis, is I got my drill bit and I stuck it in, and it just kind of ground the hole a little bit over, but then I drilled it all the way almost through the top. So what that allowed me to do is that allowed me to put a longer screw in there and just have it bite way up in there. Now, I also recommend a bevel head screw, but I didn't have any more at the time. So by using what I had allowed me to finish this project. And the threads were more than strong enough. So you just tighten it on down to where it's tight, like that. And tight. And then that is now, I checked my plate here to make sure it was nice and flat so that it wasn't sitting at an angle. And that is now mounted on there. Now, as far as the shocks go, the shocks are in their stock position. So I bring it up. And now, instead of being mounted on this side, I just grabbed this hole on the other side of the arm and I mounted it up in there. Put the axle back in. Like that. This goes in and it mounts right here. Now, if you guys need to fine tune, I'm sure everybody can figure out how to move their shocks around. If you wanted to build, go with an aftermarket shock tower, that might change everything completely. I'm just trying to use my stock parts. I have some fine tuning here with extra holes. And this arm, your top trailing arm, or your camber arm, all I did was turn this turnbuckle all the way around. So it left everything stock except for I just turned it around and popped it on. Now my suspension is good to go. Same thing on this side. Put the arm on first. There we go. And shock screw. Okay. Okay, that is the rear suspension, all good to go and ready to mount. For my GNSS, I just built the aluminum plate, drilled 2 holes in the plate and mounted it to where the stock mounts are for the body mount. Now, I wanted to keep my body I already had mounted, so what I did was I put the front on and clipped it. Then I clipped this body mount into the body, laid it where it needed to go, looked through my back window, and lined that line right there through the center of that, and then took it off, put it where it needed to be, trued it up, drilled holes all the way through, and then just put bolts all the way through with nuts, and it is a solid mount, and it allowed, so this will now take any 22S pre-mounted body. So, and then as you can see here, the bevel just allows the motor to go into its spot, and it gives its adjustments all the way front and back. And that is what we'd be looking at for a mid-motor 22S.